Let's talk some Iowa Hawkeyes football.
Let's get right on to it. Iowa just wrapped up their 25th season under Kirk Ferentz, and the Hawkeyes went from playoff dark horses to offensive laughingstock last year, and now they're hoping their head coach can turn the page without his son. Going to be a challenge, I think, for Kirk Ferentz here. Obviously, we anticipate the offense should be better. I think that there is an emotional side of this that we don't typically think about, because it's not too often that somebody this high profile in coaching would have to fire their son like this. We've also seen Kirk Ferentz a little bit more emotional in recent years than he's ever been throughout his coaching career. And I think it begs the question, without his son there, with some of the public displays of emotion, how much longer are we going to give Kirk Ferentz?
If it was me, as long as he wants. As long as he wants. It's crazy to see the reactions he gets coming off of another successful season. I understand the offense didn't look great last year. That's an understatement. It hasn't looked great in many years, and yet there they are knocking on the door. They're in the Big Ten championship. We were joking in the middle of the season, like, man, are they knocking on a door of a potential playoff conversation, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm most excited to see this year, JP, is the offense under new offensive coordinator Tim Lester. I just want to give you some truths here. They return all 5 starters on their offensive line from last year. Then you go out and get a former 5-star in Caden Proctor. I expect the offensive line to be significantly improved. You have, I think, like 6 or 7 scholarship running backs on the roster. Cade McNamara is back under center. Luke Lachey is going to be healthy.
Yeah.
You got Addison Ostrenga at tight end. Of course, the receivers we're going to have to see, but all this leads to me to say I expect the offense to be significantly improved. And I know what Phil Parker and that defense is going to be. I expect a big leap forward, and a big leap from where they're at. We're talking 10, 11 wins again.
Yeah, I mean, just to talk about the defense, because I think you hit the nail on the head with all the returners on offense. They've got 3 starters back on their defensive line. The linebacker room, they've got 2 big ones back in Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson. And then the secondary, everybody's back except for Cooper DeJean. So it feels like they've got a lot of returners here. They've got guys who are experienced playing football on the defensive side of the ball. You feel like there's going to be no interruption from what they've been over the last handful of years, really, every year under Phil Parker. And on offense, I think they can take a step forward. But this is the interesting thing about Kirk Ferentz in Iowa, is I have gotten really close to the idea of being like, Kirk's getting ready to retire. Talked about how emotional he's been. They basically made him fire his son. The AD just said, we're going to do it. Now, I'm not exactly sure he was happy with that. I felt like there could have been a moment after the bowl game where he could have been like, I'm done with this, and kind of put Iowa in a bad situation. I think there needs to be an ongoing conversation in that athletic department about what his future plans are and when he wants to call it. Much like down with Alabama, the AD had notice from Nick Saban about a year out that he might be at the end of the road. That's the conversation that needs to happen. Now, in terms of what do you do with Kirk, not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. This dude is a perfect coach for a place like Iowa. He has taken them to heights that a lot of programs would like to get to. He has been able to weather the down years with class and dignity. He's a good ball coach. Yeah. He's well respected. You hold on to him as long as you can, but you have to be ahead of the, well, I'm ready to be done with this, and you can't be left in a lurch.
And I think that's totally fair. And Kirk has to, you got to leave the place better than you found it. So if he is considering it, you do need to drop those seeds and have that conversation. But for Iowa fans, I just would say be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Bo Pelini in Nebraska is a great example. You're chasing the best, and you end up taking steps backward. Kirk Ferentz is a phenomenal coach. The on-field success speaks for itself. One of the best parts of working in this profession is getting to know him and the staff. He is universally loved around that program by his players, by the rest of his staff. He's a great leader, molding young men. To me, he's one of the best coaches in college football. And I don't think you can argue that. I'm excited to see what happens with a functional offense this year. They were -7 in turnover margin last year, the worst mark since 2006. And they still won that many games. What happens when they have a functional offense? They're going to be in that 12-team playoff next year.
Yeah, I mean,
they will be in that playoff next year.
It's an interesting thing because I'm mostly there with you, and I think the offense is a big part. It also sticks out in my mind what they looked like when they played good teams this past year. They looked awful when they played Penn State. They looked awful when they played against Michigan. They looked really bad in the bowl game against a Tennessee team that had a bunch of opt-outs too. I think that there's some more work to be done, no doubt. But if the offense gets better, it makes the team much better.
The offensive line has to get better to me. It all starts with that. Can they run the ball? Can they put Cade McNamara in a situation that he's familiar with, similar to Michigan with a strong run game? I think that can lead to significant improvement.